Hi, Brittany.
Hello. How we're gonna do this.
I'm sorry?
I was wondering how we were gonna get on Zoom.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't like to get or give out information sooner than it's needed. Does that make sense? This
Yeah.
way it doesn't get lost.
Okay.
Hi, all. Oh, that's right. I was just about to say, I don't recognize any of your names. I'm not teaching 2045 this semester. Okay, guys, keep in mind, I've taught 2045 on numerous occasions. I probably taught that more than anything else recently. So if you have questions from lecture, please keep them in mind. I'm going to hold my office hours after the lecture. If you have questions about the lecture, give me a shot. Maybe I can explain it better than your professor. I know there are occasions when the other professors can explain things better than me. So, hey, give it a shot. You have nothing to lose. How are your classes going? Everybody been to one lecture at least? Somebody said you're shaking your head. No? No?
The only other class I have is online.
But you haven't been to class yet on Zoom?
Oh no, I've done it before, just not this semester.
Okay, good enough. Okay, all right, we got to admit more people. I got, looks like 11 of the 14 people are in here. Are we doing okay this semester? We into this? We know what's going to happen with Zoom from now on? Sorry, my wife has already done it for me. Apparently, you're going to understand. I have a very, very loud voice. And so because I have a loud voice, she tends to lock me indoors. Last time it took me a week to get out. So I was just stuck here, no food at all, just teaching you guys. All right, obviously, guys, I kid around a lot. Rule number one, if I offend you, please wait till the end of the period and say, Mr. Popovich, I didn't like what you did. I don't want to hear about it 3 months down the road in Air My Bitches. You guys know this better as Rate My Professor. True story. This is a true story. I had a student in 2045, and she was really, really nervous about taking organic chemistry. And I'm like, hey, do you like to cook? And she said, yeah, okay. I said, organic chemistry is just the same thing as cooking. You just take when you're cooking, you take ingredients, mix them up, throw them into a pan, fry them up, and you get what you were supposed to. Organic chemistry is the same thing, only instead of the ingredients, you're using chemicals. Unbeknownst to me, this conversation was overheard by one of the students that had an axe to grind with me. 4 months later, I read in Air My Bitches, Mr. Popovich is a chauvinist pig. He told a female student that she should be in the kitchen cooking rather than taking chemistry. Now, did it do her any good to sit and fester with that for 4 months? Or would it have been better for her to say, hey, I didn't like what you said to that girl? Well, my first thought would have been, it's none of your business anyway, but I wouldn't have said that directly to her. I would have thought it, but I wouldn't have said it. Basically, I would have said, I'm sorry you were offended by that. I will try my best not to offend you in the future. The bottom line is, guys, I like to kid around. I like to do a lot of self-deprecating humor because, guys, looky, There's a lot to deprecate here, guys. So if you're upset with anything that I have to say, please let me know. Are we fine as kind? Thumbs up on that one, guys? Fine as kind. All right, my name is Mr. Popovich. Please call me Mr. P, Professor P. Don't call me doctor. I have not earned that title yet. Anybody know what a doctor is? Anybody? A doctor is somebody that studies one subject for so long that eventually he knows everything about nothing. Do not tell your lecture professor that I said that. I'm going to hold you. If I hear back that somebody calls that quote to me, I'm going to hold you all accountable for that. Give you a little bit of my background. I have a BS in chemistry from West Virginia. I also have an MS in chemistry from the University of Pittsburgh. Believe it or not, I have an English degree. I went back and got my English degree where I met my wife in Shakespeare's tragedies, which I've always thought was an appropriate place to meet her. I also have a master's degree in education from USF. The real USF, not directionally challenged University of Florida. I graduated from the University of San Francisco. Come on, guys. Tampa is not South Florida. You got to drive 5 hours to get to South Florida. I had no idea why they ever started that. Any case, I have a wife. Yeah, I almost forgot there for a second. The nice lady that brought me the tea. I have a wife, a daughter, and 3 grandchildren, one of whom is probably about the same age and or state that you're in. He's a second-year college student at FAU. Let's see. Yeah, that was my introduction. Yeah. So you want to get me off topic? You want to get me off topic? Talk about dogs, travel, or baseball. I'm pretty much easy to be led astray by any one of those categories. I've managed to travel. There's only one state. Anybody guess? Person that guesses the state?
Hawaii.
I have not visited. I've visited 49 states. Hawaii is not it. No more guesses?
Wyoming.
Been to Wyoming many times, passing through. Cheyenne, believe it or not, still has a raised boardwalk on its main city streets.
Vermont.
Idaho.
Who said Vermont?
I did.
Brian?
Yeah, Brian.
Brian, you get an extra credit point.
Sweet.
There we go. I've been saving Vermont. The state before this was North Dakota. And believe it or not, guys, I really enjoyed North Dakota a whole lot. There's a national park there called Teddy Roosevelt's. Great place. If you ever want to go there, it's a great place to waste an afternoon or two. What else do you want? My expectations for you. Guys, this is your class. I said that in the welcome letter. I'm saying it again. This is your class. You paid money for this. You paid money for this. All right? I can't believe it myself that people pay money to listen to me talk. But be that as it may, you paid for it. Get your money's worth. By that, I mean, be prepared to ask questions. Use me. That's what I am here for. Ask questions of me. If you're not understanding something, please ask me questions. In order for you to do well in this class, All right, life lesson, guys. Life lesson. In order to do well in a class, you have to do what the professor says. Right? This is rocket science, guys. If I tell you to fill out an assignment and you don't fill out the assignment, I can't give you a good grade. So do what I say. You'll get a good grade. Last semester, the class I had in 2045, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 A's, 1 B, 3 C's. No F's. I got no F's. I got 90% of the people through to the final. Another class, my introductory course, 7 A's, 8 B's, 2 D's, 2 F's. Guys, I am not a grade miser, but you got to work with me. You got to give me what I tell you. Be prepared. This means, guys, you're going to have all of the experiments given to you in the My Courses program. You've got them. You got to read the experiment before I give the lecture on it. Be prepared to get called on in class. I believe in an interactive classroom. Second life lesson. How many of you think you are going to be put on the spot by your boss when you get out for your real job about a question or two? And how many of you really believe that you need to be prepared to answer that question? That's what I'm doing when I ask these questions of you during the class. I'm trying to prepare you to answer questions in a technical area. Required materials for you. You don't have to buy anything. The experiments are provided. Has anybody gone to the bookstore and bought the lab experiment book? You don't have to have it. It is provided in My Courses. I expect you to have a calculator. I expect you to have a periodic table somewhere reasonable. I expect you to have a paper and a pencil or pen or something to write notes on. How are you going to be successful in this course? Person in my Chem 2 class 3 summers ago put it very succinctly. Chemistry is very, 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 very hard. It's insidious. What other subject can you name in which you build a foundation and you can just throw that, other courses, you can just throw that foundation away? Because in history, if you just studied the Civil War, that's gone. You're going on to Reconstruction. Chemistry, it's not that way. What happens is we teach you a foundation and everything gets laid on top of it. So that if you don't have that good foundation, everything is going to crumble on you. So I'm going to have videos. I will upload videos. This is being recorded as we speak. So I will upload this eventually into the My Courses program. So you're going to have that available to you. When I first get on, I'm going to lecture you every Wednesday at 7:15. Speaking of that, do you like 7:15 or would you rather it be moved back to 7 o'clock? What is your feeling?
Either works.
Works for me.
Either one works for me.
I'm not hearing any objection. Okay, I'm going to keep it at 7:15 because my 2 other labs in the evening are at 7:15. It'll keep me better on track. Okay, so the lab meetings are going to be at 7:15 each night. So I'm going to get on. I'm going to get on and I'm going to start to talk. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a little bit of theory. And then once I go through a little bit of theory, I'm going to get into the guts of the particular experiment. To give you an idea, I also prepare PowerPoints. And I'm going to access a PowerPoint right now from last semester, maybe possibly. Let's see a good one. Okay, where did it go? There it is. Okay, generally speaking, these aren't going to be chromatographically interesting. So basically, are you seeing the screen, guys? Brittany, shake your head or flip thumbs up. Great. So I'm going to go through a little bit of theory. I'm going to go through these real quick. So that is all theory. I will give you a strategy as to why we're doing what we're doing in certain circumstances. Then I will explain what we're doing procedure-wise in the experiment. Okay? Again, now, after I get through the procedures, I'm going to go through and I am going to give you an example of the calculation for each and every experiment. So you should have a template. You should have a template for every experiment that we're going to undertake. Any questions on that? Questions so far, guys? Does it seem reasonable to you? Okay. So that's what I'm going to do. That's what's going to take me about an hour, probably less than that. Then you are free. All of the data has been presented to you. You're not going to do any experiments. You're not going to have to look at any videos to get the data for the experiments. There are videos that have been introduced into the individual experiments to kind of show you what's going on. And it's a good idea to look through them. But is it an absolute necessity? No. So, screen sharing is done. Good. Now, would you rather I go through the syllabus first or the Canvas program? Or you don't know anything about either, so Mr. Popovich, it's your choice. Brian, choose for me.
Your
It's your
choice.
Syllabus?
Syllabus.
Okay. Now let's see where I'm at with this. Yes. All right, good. Why did that do that? If somebody can explain to me why computers do what you tell them to do rather than what you want them to do, I will be forever in your debt. Okay, yeah. That's what I want. Okay. There we go. Just for Brian, just because Brian asked for it, I'm going to go ahead and show you the syllabus first. Now, basically, syllabuses or syllabi generally are full of crap because we want to hide the good information from you. That's not what I want. This is what I want. All right, so we have The syllabus, yes. Are you seeing the syllabus here, guys?
Yep.
Part of the reason this is absurd is this is written for a face-to-face class. All right. So a lot of this stuff is not going to directly pertain to you. I have to go through safety rules because you're directly being asked a question on the, you're going to have to go through a safety quiz at the end of this period. So I have to get through some safety. Oh, by the way, guys, I just had an email from one of my intro students, and he said in the email, Mr. Popovich, I either lost or don't have the code to get into your Zoom meeting. Would you please send it to me? Now think about this, guys. If I am in a Zoom meeting, am I going to be able to open emails at the same time? Take this note down, take this number down. 727, write this down, 727 202 7275. That is my home number. If you run into an emergency, like you can't get into the meeting, phone me. That's more likely, I'm more likely to give you the answer you want then. Another phone number, 707 843 1305. That's my cell number. I would call my landline first, the 727 number first, because I don't have a life. I'm generally stuck in this office 16 hours a day. So that's important for you to be able to get in contact with me. Now, the lab manual is available. In each of the experiments, there is a tab that will allow you to open the individual experiments. And once you've opened it, you can download it. I would do that. Remember though, this is a online class. It's a face-to-face online class. By that, I mean, you are required to be here every 7:15 on Wednesdays. Okay, makeup labs. Guys, the meetings are recorded. But you have to attend the lab in order to submit the results section that I'll get into in a second. You have to be attending the meeting in order to submit the results section. You're going to be required to do a lab notebook. As soon as I get done with the syllabus, I will go through what I require in a notebook. You have to do this each and every week. Yeah, I'll get through this stuff in the thing. This is what you're really interested in. There are 14 experiments. Unlike introduction, the reports are broken into 3 categories. In introduction, it used to be 2. We break them into a pre-lab. Again, in introduction, the pre-lab was only worth 5 points. Here it's worth 10. Trying to make a little bit more of a pain for you. The results are going to be 60 points. Post-labs are 30 points to add up to 100. Pre-labs, you're going to need to read the lab. You're going to need to read the lab before you take the quiz. The quizzes are designed to make sure you're reading through it first. They're going to be general questions on the experiment. As a general rule, they're going to be multiple choice, true, false. The results section are going to be questions involving the actual experiment that was performed. In other words, the results section is going to deal with the data that we hand you. You're going to need to be able to record it into a data table, and you're going to need to record it into text boxes, just like you did for introduction. All right, the text boxes are going to need to include calculations. If a calculation has been done, you need to show me all the work. You need to show me the correct number with significant figures and the correct measurement reading. You're going to need to show me the operation and the label. By label, just like an intro, I need to know where that number came from. For example, if the question is, you're doing a density study and you put a solid into a liquid to determine the volume of the solid. The question may be, what is the volume of your solid? You write 10.000 milliliters volume of water before solid added. Volume of solid after added to water. Minus 8.000 milliliters. Volume of water before solid added. Some sort of a line, 2.000 milliliters volume of the solid. Are we understanding what needs to go in the text box? Show all your work. If you don't show your work, that's immediately all the points are gone from that question. I need to see the work. And the only way I get you to show the work is if I make it a harsh penalty. If you ask students, what's the biggest thing I harp on in grading? Significant figures, measurement readings. Absolutely. Because guys, think about it. I'm showing you how to do the calculation. So I'm giving you a template on how to do the calculation. So you're not going to mess that up. What you're going to mess up are measurement readings and significant figures. Learn them at the beginning of the semester. If you learn it now and do it correctly, then, I'm not going to take those points away. Guys, I'm a pen thief. I'm a point thief, guys. I like to take points away. Don't let me. Save me from myself. Post labs. Basically, all of the experiments have some sort of a theoretical basis behind them. The post labs are going to be written questions, word problems, based upon that theory. Post labs are worth 30 points. So all told, 10 pre-lab, 60 results, 30 post lab, adds up to 100 points. Now, if you notice, it's 13 out of 14 pre-labs, 13 out of 14 results, 13 out of 14 post labs. What that means to you is these do not have to be from the same experiment. You could screw up the pre-lab for the density really badly. That one would be dropped. If you screw up the results for the Beer's Law experiment, that one would be dropped. And the post lab of the chromatography. So it doesn't have to be from the same lab. The lab practical. Yes, you do have a final. Yes, it's going to involve experimentation. The lab practical is worth 400. Notebook is worth 100 points. So each lab notebook is worth 9 points. You multiply 9 times 13, you get 117. If you do all the notebooks, you get 17 bonus points. The scale that you see here is straight 90, 80, 70, 60. I reserve the right to lower the scale, but I will never increase it. What I mean by that is I can lower an A to an 87. I won't go below an 87. I can lower an A as far as an 87. And if you get an 88, you get the A in the class. But what I won't do is if I get a whole bunch of people that are doing really, really well in the class, I'm not going to say, oh, I need to cut my A's down. So I'm going to raise my A from a 90% to a 93. I guarantee you right now that won't happen. Especially, guys, I do not have you for lecture. I don't have you for lecture. So please, I know you're going to, if you have a disability, I know you're going to have it mailed to me. I am only giving one test this semester. Please do me the courtesy to remind me that you have a disability and you need extra time to do your final exam. Please do that reminding somewhat in the week before the final. The rest of the stuff is happy crap.
I have a question.
I have an answer. Bismarck.
The quizzes are gonna be, how are the quizzes? I don't understand. Are they gonna be through here while we're in the class, or is it gonna be before the class,
Okay,
after the class, on our
Veronica,
log?
Veronica, good question. Good question, Veronica. One second, I need to call up something. All right. After we get done with tonight's experiment, this lecture, you are going to be offered a safety quiz, a syllabus quiz, and a pre-lab for safety. For the pre-lab for safety, all it's going to ask you is, do you want 5 free points? Answer yes, you get the 5 free points. There is going to be a safety quiz. The safety quiz is going to act like the results section. It's going to be worth 60 points. And then you have a syllabus quiz that's going to act like the post lab. It's going to be worth 30 points. All right. So all 3 of those things are due next Tuesday at midnight. That would be the 19th of January. All 3 of those things are due the 19th of January. In addition to that, the experiment we're performing next week is the chemical and physical changes in properties. You have to do the pre-lab the midnight before we do the experiment.
Can we do, like, if I read my lab, let's say on the weekend, can I take the quiz?
Yes, it's open now, Veronica.
Okay.
It's open now, okay? Generally speaking, I open the pre-labs. Like, for example, I will open the pre-lab for next week's experiment today. All right?
Okay.
And at the same time, I will open this week's experiment today.
Okay.
It's Veronica, did you take introduction to chemistry at SPC?
No, I didn't take it here.
Okay, fair enough. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be staggering the assignments. Okay? You do the experiment. Once you do the experiment, results and post lab are due the next Tuesday. Also that day, you have the pre-lab for the next experiment we're gonna do. Does that make sense, Veronica?
Yes, so basically I have to have my pre-lab ready for the lab that we're gonna have. Let's say we have a lab today. So I have to have my pre-lab for this lab ready, and then I have the pre-lab for the next lab already on the way, right? And then we have to do,
Okay, Veronica, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna get out of here and I'm gonna go into the experiment schedule.
like a
Are you
plan.
still seeing? Are you seeing the experiment schedule?
Yes,
All right. This is Wednesday. This is when you have to turn in the assignments. Okay, Veronica?
okay,
All right, this week, we're doing safety. So Tuesday at midnight, you have to do the safety results, the safety quiz, and the syllabus quiz, and the safety pre-lab. Also on that night, you have to do the pre-lab for the chem and physical changes in properties lab. Then on Wednesday, I'm going to give the lecture on the chem and physical changes in properties lab. I'm going to give the lecture that day. So the next Tuesday, that report, that results section and that post lab is going to be due at midnight, plus the pre-lab for the density. Does that make sense to you, Veronica?
it does.
Okay. In addition to that, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to do is for your assignments, I'm going to put it in the announcement. If you go to course home, right here, the very first thing on the home page of the course are the announcements. At the first week, I'm going to tell you, the first thing is I am going to tell you what assignments are due that week. This week, nothing is due. But on the 19th, you have the pre-lab safety, 3 points, the safety quiz, and the syllabus quiz, and you have to do the pre-lab for chem and physical changes in properties by January 19th, midnight. Fair enough, guys? We understand. Thank you, Brittany. You're my yes man, Brittany. Okay. Now, I mentioned the notebook. Be prepared to take notes on this. I'm going to go into course content for a second. And where did I put that? Sorry, I got to figure out where I put something. We'll go with instructor notes. At the very bottom, under instructor notes, you're going to find a couple things. You're going to find the PowerPoint presentation on the notebook I'm going to give you right now. Second thing you're going to find is you're going to find an exemplar notebook. If you click on the exemplar notebook, the pages are out of order, but you get the gist. First page is now. First page, you're going to need to do an objective. You're going to need to list all the chemicals you are working with in that laboratory. And you're going to have to come up with a chemical hazard for that. I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. Next section is you are going to have a procedure. You're going to have to write in your own words what you are doing or what you did for that particular laboratory. Then once you do the procedure, you're going to have a data table. Every one of the experiments as it's written in the course, in other words, the lab manuals, every one of them has a data table. I do not mind if you take that print out that data table and write in the data table, as long as you tape it to a piece of paper and include it in your notebook. If you just have the data table as it is, it doesn't count. You have to have the data table cut out of the piece of paper and literally pasted into your notebook. So you have a data table, you have the calculations. I want one calculation from birth to death, and I'll explain that later. Then you will have a results section. So I'm going to go through, and this is an exemplar that you can use to help write your first couple of notebooks. And why did I do that? I'll be right back. I'm trying to find the PowerPoint. It took me all the way out there. Crap. Oh, good. Not so bad. Okay, any questions so far, guys? My voice is getting heard. This is the third class I've taught today. And okay. Brittany, don't let me do what I just did again, okay?
Avoid the X button.
Slap my wrist. All right, where am I at? I'm into course content. PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to actually go into the individual. By the way, if you're ever doing something, click that button and then click the download. Generally speaking, it happens much faster, and it will give you the PowerPoint in this form as opposed to the handwritten one. Are you seeing the PowerPoint labeled Lab Notebook? Are you seeing this PowerPoint? I need some cooperation here, guys.
You need to scroll up a little.
Happy? Are you seeing it?
I think your screen is frozen because it's just the,
No,
yeah.
no. We're good. The screen's not frozen. What's happening is, oh, crap. Stop share. Now can you see it?
No. Oh, yes.
Can you see it now? Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you. All right, so slideshow from current slide. Those are the sections for each notebook. These are the sections that you have to write. Objective, chemical hazards, procedures, data table, calculations, and conclusion. I just want a simple sentence for the objection. How many of you remember doing the density experiment in intro?
That was 8 years ago.
8 years ago? Come on, somebody has to have remembered the density experiment from last semester. Yay, nay, nobody?
Mine was 3 years ago, so I'm with Bree.
All right. Anybody remember? Come on, guys, I need your help. Nobody, not one person in 13 took intro to chemistry last semester. I'm going to check I'm going to check this out.
I took
Alright.
it, but I don't remember.
Who is speaking? Brian?
Yeah,
Okay, Brian. Density, you don't remember it?
no.
Okay, do you remember the balloon? Crap, that's right. You guys didn't actually do them.
Yeah, it was all through videos.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Didn't it have something to do with, I mean, it was 2 years ago for me, but didn't it have something to do with calculating how much volume is in a test tube and then taking the mass and then throwing it in the test tube and then doing the calculations or something?
But what did you do that day? What did you actually find out?
Other than the density and the calculations,
That's exactly right. You were finding the density, right? Isn't that right? Isn't that what you were doing?
Absolutely.
Objective for the density experiment, a simple declarative statement. I will determine the density of a solid and a liquid. Done. That's it. That's all you have to do. That's all I want. You do more than that, and if you do more than that, you're making me read. You're making me work harder. I'll take points away for doing more than that. Seriously, that's all I want is a simple sentence. In this case, you're going to be doing an experiment in which you are going to be adding aluminum to a copper solution. And you're doing this to determine what the empirical formula is. So our objective for that experiment is going to be to determine the empirical formula of an unknown compound consisting of copper, chlorine, and water. Are we good? Do you understand what I want from this? Fine as kind. Chemical hazards. You got to find, generally speaking, within the experiment, there should be a list of the chemicals somewhere. For each one of the chemicals that are listed, all you got to do is write out the chemical name, space, put the 3 letters, SDS. That stands for safety data sheets. What's going to happen is you're going to populate the screen with a whole bunch of them. Find one that you like. Within that safety data sheet, there's going to be a section on long-term and immediate hazards. Long-term meaning if you're exposed to this chemical over and over again for long periods of time, what happens to you? The other hazard is going to be immediate hazards. And that is if you get exposed once, what's going to happen to you? I want you to handwrite these in your notebook. Questions about this? Okay. I have a chemical, lead-2 nitrate, causes eye irritation, skin irritation, harmful if swallowed. And it gives you all this stuff. This is what is listed in the safety data sheet. This is what you would write. Can cause skin and eye irritation, can lead to lead poisoning, can cause this stuff, the inability of blood to deliver oxygen, and can have toxic effects in the blood forming organs. So I literally took all this crap that was in the SDS and I concentrated it down to this. The whole reason I'm doing this is when you do get exposed to chemicals, when you do handle chemicals, You should know what the hazards of those chemicals are. Questions about chemical hazards?
Could you zoom out?
Did I zoom out?
No, could you zoom out? It's like zoomed in.
Better?
That's-
Better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. Procedures. I want a step-by-step explanation of how the experiment is going to be done. It needs to be in your own words. It needs to be precise enough that you could hand these procedures to somebody on the street and they can replicate your experiment. Step-by-step process. Guys, you can write it. It is possible to write the procedures in a long paragraph form. But then, if you write it in a long paragraph form, I have to hunt and search for it. That's extra work. Remember, your goal this semester is to keep Mr. Popovich from working. So if you do it, will I accept a long paragraph? Yeah, of course I'll accept it. But I would much rather you do it in a bullet point thing like this. First step, you do this. Second, this. And you proceed through this until you get to your conclusion. Questions on procedures?
I have a question.
I'm here.
So are we just rewording the procedure that comes in the lab manual?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
that's all you're really doing. Again, when you download the experiment, included in that experiment is a data table. You may copy the data table and you may handwrite the data inside the data table. And you must tape it or paste it into a page of your notebook. It must be there. If it is not there, it doesn't count. You can handwrite all the information directly in the notebook if you want. If the data table is loose from the notebook, and I can tell it from the copies you made, it does not count. Do not include calculations on your data page. It confuses things tremendously. Yeah, you know what you did, but the problem is anybody looking at your notebook has no idea of what you did. Do not include calculations on your data page. All we're doing here is interested in make sure you're maintaining the correct readings and the correct final calculations. All you're required when you do the calculation section is one calculation, birth to death. There are going to be several examples this semester in which you're going to be dealing with multiple trials, especially in the titration experiment. You're basically going to be doing the same thing 3 times to see if you can get the same answer. In that case, you only have to show one of the multiple trial calculations. Even something as simple as calculating averages, you need to show me. And you need to tell me where that number came from. In the empirical formula, if I want the mass of the hydrate, I'm going to say 20 grams, 20.00 grams is the mass of the hydrate in crucible, minus 15.00 grams, the mass of the crucible, equals 5.00 grams, mass of the hydrate. Questions, ladies and gentlemen, about the calculations? Now, we come to the conclusion. The conclusion, guys, you need to have the conclusion in each one of your experiments. Your conclusion, your first statement, whatever the objective said, if your objective said, you're trying to find the density of a solid and liquid. Well, the first statement for your conclusion should be the density of the solid was 8.93 grams per milliliter. The density of the liquid was 0.79 grams per milliliter. If it was the empirical formula and your objective was to determine the empirical formula, your first statement in the confusion, confusion, that was a Freudian slip, guys. The first sentence in your conclusion should be the empirical formula was boom. Your first sentence. All right. The next thing I want you to do, look at the experiment and think how there could have been an error in it. Then, if you stated an error, you have to analyze how it affected your result. Previous example, there was water left on the hydrate. Therefore, if there was water left in the hydrate weight was too high. If the hydrate weight was too high, then the percentage of water in the compound was too high. If the percentage of water was too high in the compound, my coefficient in front of the water is going to be too high. Does that make sense, guys? Okay, there are going to be times when I'm going to give you the correct answer, or you're going to need to do multiple trials. If you're given the real answer, then you have a number to compare to the correct answer. Your experimental value will be compared to the real value. And you do that in something called a percent error. A percent error is the actual value. When you did the experiment, you came up with a number. That number, you subtract from that the number that you expect to get. And you divide that by the expected value, multiplied by 100. Say, for example, the molar ratio you got between chlorine and copper was 2.10. The expected value is 2.00. In this case, your actual value, 2.10 minus 2.00, divided by the expected value, again, times 100, this means you had a 5% error. Questions, guys?
Where do you get the expected value?
I made this crap up. But normally speaking, the expected value, you did the experiment. Who's talking?
It's Madison.
Madison, did you do the experiment?
No.
Well, you will.
Oh, I will.
You will, but you will. So you'll do the experiment and you're going to come up with the result. Okay, Madison?
Okay.
Whatever result you came up with, that's the actual result you came up with. From that, you are going to subtract the value that you should have had, the right answer. And then you're going to divide that subtraction by the right answer and multiply by 100. We good with that now?
Yes, thank you.
Last thing. Sometimes you are going to do multiple trials. If you do multiple trials, chances are you're not going to get the same exact result. When you don't get the same exact result, that introduces a level of error to your final answer. So what you have to do is you have to determine the standard deviation, which is a measurement of the precision of your measurements. By definition, your standard deviation is equal to your trial 1 value minus the average. You have to take the absolute value of that. In other words, your trial, because it's an average, you're going to have numbers above and below what the average is. So the number inside the straight lines could be a negative number. But we have the straight lines. That means you take the absolute value, which means you turn, if it's a negative, you turn it into a positive answer. To that, you're going to add trial 2 minus the average, absolute value, plus trial 3 minus the average, absolute value. You go on like this until you get to the last trial. You take that minus the average, then you divide that whole thing by the number of trials you had. I did my empirical formula ratio 5 times, and I achieved 5 different results for my molar ratio: 2.03, 2.07, 2.25, 2.05, and 2.09. To get my standard deviation, first thing I have to do is I have to get an average. I take all of them, add them all up, divide by the number of trials. This gives me the average. To get my standard deviation, I take my first value, 2.03, subtract from that the average. My second value minus the average, third value minus the average, fourth value minus the average. Then, after I subtract all of those, I make them all positive. So this one, even though it's a negative 0.03, I have to make that into a positive 0.03. Plus 0.01, plus 0.01, plus 0.03. I add those all up, divide by 4. This means that my standard deviation is 0.02. Real life, what does this mean? This means that because of my experimental errors, my average result is plus or minus 0.02. So that means that the range of my result is 2.06 minus the 0.02 to 2.06 plus the 0.02, or the range of my final answer is 2.04 to 2.08. Questions on the math here, guys? Conclusion: state the objective. Pose a possible error. Then, once you posed what that error is, tell how that affected your final result. Last thing, if I give you the correct answer, you have to give me a % error. If I give you multiple trials, you have to give me a standard deviation. Are there any questions about the notebook?
So I have a question.
Melody?
Sorry, this is my sister's computer. My name's Cassandra.
Okay, Cassandra.
Um,
Did you get my email back?
yes, I did.
I'm sorry it was so late. I had to go to the dentist this afternoon, so I didn't get a chance to look at your emails.
Oh, no, you're fine. I was wondering, because it's handwritten, is it something we're gonna have to scan in, or is it something we're gonna have to bring to the campus?
Picture.
Oh, okay.
What you're gonna do is you're gonna take pictures of them. And I'm gonna go through right now. Next thing I'm gonna do is take you through the actual course, okay?
Okay.
So that you have an idea of where some of these things are.
Okay.
Any other questions, guys?
I have a question.
Who is this?
Madison again.
Okay, Madison.
So in the lab manual, I see that there's post-lab questions. Do we answer that in our notebook manual?
No. Oh, wait, time out. You're looking in the experiments themselves, correct?
Yes.
Okay. It's been my experience that the post-lab questions that are written in the lab manual do not match the post-lab questions that you are required to answer, that are in the computer. Does that make sense to you, Madison?
Yes.
They're not going to be the same. I don't care if I see them.
Okay. Gotcha.
Anything else, guys?
So is it, we have to do the post labs that are in the,
Veronica, I'm gonna go right now and show you, okay?
okay.
All right, so I'm getting out of here. Hopefully I haven't. Okay, are you? Okay, good. Thank God. All right, guys. As within any My Courses program, the guts of the course is in course content. You click course content. What happens is you're going to get the whole left side of the screen is going to be populated in a column, and that is where you access anything. This is where you access the syllabus. If you want, there is a course schedule there, but this is the one you really want. Experimental schedule is the listing of the experiments as they are due. You have some interesting things. You have instructions for uploading a graph to a lab report. You have an instruction on how to review a graded quiz so that you see my comments. There are My Courses tutorials that are in this section, and we provide you some graph paper. If you click on this, this is the entire lab manual. I'm not going to click on it because it's a large file, but if you do click on it, it will print out the entire lab experiments. Then once we get into the lab manual, you get into the individual experiments. As I told you, after I get done with this, I got to give you a little bit of a safety quiz or safety test or safety lecture. Sorry. Third lesson of the day. Inside here, you will have different things like there is a video tutorial on how to upload pictures into My Courses. Please look at it. The syllabus quiz requires you to upload a picture into my courses. If you get a bad grade on the syllabus quiz, by that I mean like a 25%, this means you didn't do this correctly. Look at the video and try it again. Okay? You have pre-lab. As I said, if you click on that, I'm hitting preview, but you're going to hit the quiz. Lo and behold, it says, start quiz. As promised, question 1, worth 10 points. Look, free points. Yes, I want the free points. No, I don't want the free points. You get a choice. So this is basically how the quizzes will run. You need to do the that was fun. Thank you. You need to do for next week, the pre-lab, you need to do the safety quiz and the syllabus quiz. Guys, I get bored easily. I look at one pair of goggles, it looks just like any other pair of goggles. Entertain me. Entertain me, I'll give you a point. Take an interesting picture that you're going to upload. You are going to have to do the safety quiz and the syllabus quiz. Veronica, could you turn down, could you mute yourself, please? Veronica, I'm getting that background noise from your computer. Again, the syllabus quiz, fairly simple questions. I don't mind showing. Start quiz.
Do we have just one attend for quiz?
Yes. I'm sorry. No, you have multiple attempts. Just for the safety quiz.
But for the other one, it's just one.
Other ones are just one attempt. Okay, these are the questions. And you will notice down here eventually, there is, you're going to have to upload a picture into my courses. Questions, guys? Okay.
The email picture will be about anything or something in specific.
If you want to show me goggles, Veronica, please mute yourself. Thank you, Veronica. Now I forgot your question. Open your mic to ask the question again, Veronica. Veronica.
She typed it in the chat.
Okay, what did she say? I can't read the chat.
Her computer's not working, but if she wants to type the question, I can read it out to you.
Read the question, please.
Give me 1 second. I think she's typing.
She was asking if she could put any picture in that Quiz.
Yes,
It-
Veronica, yes. Any picture, I want you to entertain me. Okay? So getting back to course content, each one of the experiments are going to have its own set of subsections in the module. The chem and physical properties, there is a video. There's the pre-lab. This is the pre-lab you're going to take next. No, don't do that. This is the pre-lab you're going to take by next Tuesday at midnight. Another video giving you how to write balanced molecular equations for a double replacement reaction. If you don't remember, this is a valuable resource for doing that. This is where you're going to access the results. What's going to happen next week, I'm going to lecture you on this experiment. Then by the 26th, you are going to do this results section and this post lab. All they are quizzes just like you've seen before. Now, for the lab notebook that is also due on the 26th, the same day as the results and post lab, you're going to click on it. And you are going to take pictures of your notebook and you are going to add them as attachments here. Any
I show on the
questions?
top, yeah, I show on the top, you're saying sign diagonally. Are you wanting to have us sign off on our signature for every page we complete?
No, don't bother. Just tell your next professor that I told you to do that.
All right.
All right. All right. Are we understanding how to put the lab notebooks into the course? We good with that? All right. It's my job. It's my job to figure out that you are doing a lab notebook correctly. Once you demonstrate to me that you can do a lab notebook correctly, you will earn, you still have to submit the notebooks, but you will have earned your 10 points throughout the rest of the semester. Is that a fair enough deal? I want you to demonstrate that you can do a notebook. Once you've made this demonstration, then you know how to do it. I'm not going to really grade the rest of the notebooks that strenuously then. Questions about that? Okay, if you want, again, the first thing, I'm not, safety. All right, this video, no, that's not it. Not what I wanted. I know that I saw it. I'm sorry, I'm looking for something and I can't find it. Could have sworn I saw it. I thought it was in here, but it wasn't. There it is. Nope, no, it's not. Okay. If you want to find out my comments to determine why I took points away, you go to submission review, click on it. Go to quizzes, click on that. And what will happen is you will get a listing of all the quizzes that you have taken. You don't want to click on the quiz itself because all that will do is pull up the questions. What you want to do is you want to click the arrow just to the right of the quiz you want to check. You're going to click on that, and there will be something that says submissions here. Click on submissions. Once you have clicked on submission, then there will be another box in which it lists attempt. You click on the attempt and all the comments that I made will be present. Grades, this is where you're going to look at your grades. Ladies and gentlemen, do not ask me to explain the grade book. The grade book is correct, but Dr. Musgrave, who did this whole shell, has a convoluted aspect of what a grade book should be. It's really, really expanded and really, really confusing. If you want to know about your grades, just tell me. Now, this is very important. I do not accept late reports. If you try and hand in the pre-lab for the Chem and Physical Properties Lab after next Tuesday at midnight, I will not accept it. If you try and submit a results or a post-lab after the date is posted, I will not accept it. I do not accept late grades. That's the only thing that I am very, very strict on. Any questions about manipulating the course itself? That only leads safety, guys. And the safety lecture is a bit absurd because you're not dealing with chemicals. You're not involved in any hazards. But yet I have to give it because you have a safety quiz. Where am I at? I just lost myself. Okay. Just resting my voice for a second. Okay. Any non-adherence. If you don't obey, the safety rules, you will be dismissed from class. Personal protective equipment. You need to have goggles. You will wear goggles the entire time you are doing experiments this semester. Every time you handle a chemical this semester, you need to have goggles on. By the way, if you've gotten by without buying goggles through intro and Chem 1, and you take the course in the fall, you will need to buy a set of goggles. You're going to need to buy a lab coat. The lab coat will not substitute for being dressed properly. Okay. Pants, cover, body from hips to the ankles. No holes. If you have acid wash jeans, they're acid wash jeans for a reason. They put acid on the jeans to make the holes. Therefore, if acid gets put on your skin, you're going to get burned. No holy jeans. Top covers from waist to the neckline, over the shoulder, halfway down the arm. No midriffs, no low-cut blouses. Guys, leave your wife beater shirts at home. Don't wear synthetic clothing. Don't wear synthetic. Has anybody ever taken nail polish off while they were wearing nylons? Don't do it. It's a good way to ruin nylons. Acetone dissolves nylon. So therefore, if you have a synthetic shirt on and you spill some organic chemical on it, there's a good chance that that organic chemical is going to dissolve your shirt. Shoes cover the entire foot. No Crocs, no sandals, no backless shoes, no stilettos with open toes. Be sensible. We want something to cover your foot. Anybody have an idea why we've specifically so crazed about the foot? I have a chemical up here. I spill it. Where does it go? It goes down. What's down? Your feet. College chemistry labs are finding a lot of people were getting hurt if they were wearing sandals and spilling chemicals. So therefore, that's why we harp so much on it. No contacts. Ladies and gentlemen, I had a very, very good friend in high school that was wearing soft contact lenses, and he splashed some organic solvent into his eyes. He very nearly had those contacts fused to his cornea. There's always a chance that something is going to get in your eyes. You do not want contacts there if you have that. No horseplay. Respect the dangers that are inherent in a chemistry laboratory. Don't, no unauthorized experiments. Ladies and gentlemen, I do not want you mixing things if you weren't told to. A green little chemist on a green little day mix some green little chemicals in a green little way. Now the green little grasses do tenderly wave, or the green little chemist, green little grave. I will have no green little chemists on my watch. This means you don't mix chemicals unless you're told to. This means you don't take that test tube, aim it at your partner, and heat it up to see if you can get the liquid to splash on his face. No, don't heat things unless you're told to. No unauthorized experiments. If you do, ladies and gentlemen, manage to spill copious amounts of chemicals on you, find the nearest shower, strip your clothes off. I do not care. Your modesty is not going to save your life. Strip your clothes off, stay under the shower for 15 minutes. If you spill something in your eyes, go to the eye wash. Put your face, eyes open under the eye wash for 15 minutes. But Mr. Popovich, I'm wearing goggles. There's no way in the world I'm going to ever get anything in my eyes. Ladies and gentlemen, I used to work with a chemical called ethyl acetate. If you put nail polish on, the smell that you're smelling is the smell ethyl acetate. I'm allergic to it. I had goggles on, the vapors from the ethyl acetate seeped their way through my goggles, and I had to go to the emergency room. Be aware, this could happen if you get your eyes start to get irritated. Go to the eye wash, wash them for 15 minutes. Know where the first aid kit and the fire extinguisher. My first aid kit's in the second drawer down in my bathroom. There's not a fire extinguisher in this house, so I'm dead meat there. When you go to a regular lab, figure these things out. No eating, drinking, or applying makeup. The easiest way for you to poison yourself is through your mouth. So we don't want you eating or drinking in the lab. Everything in the lab must be stowed. If you have knapsacks, if you have any bulky material you're bringing into the lab, you got to put that in a place where it's not going to trip anybody. Report your allergies. Those of you that did do the balloon experiment in intro, we used to use latex balloons. We had a couple instances. The people did not touch the latex. They were just in the room where the balloons were being blown up. They started to hyperventilate. Report your allergies. Make sure that I know what your allergies are. Turn off equipment when not in use. How many of you have been to a bar? Brittany, your hand shut up much too quickly. Okay. While you were in that bar, how many of you have had a drink spilled on you? All right. Did you spill the drink on yourself? Every time, Brittany? What's more than likely going to happen? Are you going to have somebody else spill a drink on you, or are you going to spill the drink on yourself? Look around, see the pictures in this laboratory. See all these pictures. These are the people you have to be aware of, because they are the ones going to be spilling things on you. Be aware of others. They are dangerous. Don't return chemicals to the original bottle. If you take something out of it, don't put it back in. What you've done is the process of taking something out has contaminated the original source. Take the chemicals you have out. If you can't pawn them off on another student, then throw them in the hazardous waste. Recap all bottles. Oops, I guess that was 16. Guys, don't worry. I only have 203 of these. If you spill a chemical, if you break a chemical, if you set your partner on fire, let me know. I got to tell you a story. Anybody like to cook? Anybody like to cook? Veronica, you like to cook? Shake your head, yes. Anybody know how you make beef bourguignon? It's a beef stew. It's a beef stew that what you do is you take all the cubes of beef, you stuff them in a bag, you put some flour in the bag, you shake it all up. Then you take this, you put it in a frying pan and you brown it all up. Then what you do is you take a cup of cognac, pour it all over the beef and light it on fire. Now, I've watched cooking shows. I know how they do this. You go to a cooking show, they want to light something, gas stove. They take the pan, they tip it, the alcohol goes over, hits the flame, it lights everything up. So I'm thinking, I can do this, no problem. Only what they don't tell you on the cooking shows is you're not supposed to heat it for 5 minutes. I did this. All right. I look to my left and right. My wife's in choir that night. The dog ain't talking. I'm good. I used to have bangs, guys. I lit my bangs on fire. I smelled smoldering hair. Seriously, you're going to look at experiments. And you're going to be very interested in what the experiments are doing. So you're going to lean over. If you have long hair, I've seen this happen many, many times. That hair, those tresses are going to come over and they're going to get very nearly in the Bunsen burner. Hair burns very, very easily. The solution, tie your hair back. Yeah. Wash the bench after you're done. This is very serious because I was teaching a lab and one of my students did not wash down their bench. The next lab that came in, one of the students leaned on the bench with their hands. They got their hands burned because acid was left on the bench. So whenever you do an experiment, wash down the bench. After the lab, wash your hands. Generally speaking, experiments take about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. In that 2.5 hour period, gentlemen, I especially want to point this out to you. At the end of that 2.5 hour period, you're going to want to relieve a bodily function. When you relieve that bodily function, you are going to touch a sensitive area of your anatomy with your hands that you didn't wash. You will do this once and be immediately reminded that you should have washed your hands. Chemicals get on your hands, even if you're wearing gloves. Wash your hands after every experiment. Be aware, hot glassware looks like cold glassware. And I know I spelled that wrong. So if something's on the bench, do not necessarily assume it hasn't been heated. What you want to do is you want to cup your hand around the object. If you can feel heat radiating off of it, then it's hot. If not, just tap your fingers on the object and everything should be fine. Do not aim a test tube at anybody. It may be loaded. Keep your hands away from your face and body. If you are pregnant, make sure that the laboratory instructor knows it. One of the chemicals you worked with in introduction, lead nitrate, can enter through the placenta. I'm sorry, I'm not a biologist. Can enter between the mother and the body and the child, and literally speaking, lead nitrate dissolves in water. It can go right through there. So if you're pregnant, let your instructor know. And basically, guys, be sensible. When you're in a lab, wear sensible shoes. Don't wear stilettos. Don't wear your best dancing shoes. Don't put your electronics on the bench. The bench has acids. Acids love electronics. Don't wear loose clothing. It may propagate. That's the best joke I have here, guys. That's it. Yes, I know it was a little long today. It's an hour and a half. But I think I got through everything. Don't roll your eyes, Brittany. Are we good, guys? Anybody have any questions? I am here. Generally speaking, I am going to view the office hours for this class as the time after. Melody, what do you have there? A puppy? Cat?
The cat.
Okay. Take a picture of your cat, show it to me
Okay.
for the assignment. He's a cute guy.
Aw.
He's a cute guy. Seems really interested in this chemistry class too.
They all
I can-
like to visit.
I'm sorry, how many cats do you have, Melody?
Cassandra, 4.
Cassandra, sorry.
You're fine.
4?
4.
Do you realize that by the time you're 80, you're gonna have 80?
I work in veterinary medicine now, so
Ah.
yeah, it's just gonna go up. Brittany has a really cute dog that she showed you.
Did she, Brittany? Oh, is that an Aussie? I'm looking to get an Aussie. I had an Aussie mix that just recently passed, and I'm looking to get an Aussie or an Aussie mini.
He was a mini.
He's a mini,
Mm-hmm.
so he's not an Aussie, he's an American mini. Guys, that's all I have. The only other thing I had to say was that our office hours are going to be after the lecture. I'll just stick around, and if you need to speak to me about something, that's what I'll consider the office hours. Really got nothing else more to say to you.
I have 2 questions.
I have 2 answers, Bismarck
Okay.
and 100
Madison.
degrees Celsius. Madison, Bismarck and 100 degrees Celsius.
What?
Those are answers. I didn't say they were to the questions you had to give.
No.
What are your questions, Madison?
The first one, under the safety link, there's an like a St. Pete College safety form. Do you need us to print and sign that? And where do we upload it?
No,
No. Okay.
no,
Next
you don't.
question.
You don't have to do that because even though I bored you to death with that safety lecture, you're not going to touch chemicals. I've been told that you do not have to fill that out.
Okay. And last question, is it a different Zoom link for each lecture? And do you
Yes.
always send it out before? Okay.
Yes and yes.
Thank you.
Look
That's all I had.
for it. Look for it immediately before the Zoom lecture, because guys, if I give you next week's Zoom lecture code, what are the chances you're going to lose it? Or even worse, what are the chances I'm going to lose it? If I lose it, we're all in trouble. So I send it out immediately before the meeting. Fair enough, Madison?
Yes, thank you.
Anything else? How many guys do I have in this class? I noticed only Brian. Is that true? Oh, before you guys leave, Aisa. Aisa, are you present? Veronica is here. Is Kara here? Yes, I see you, Kara. Kara. At least say
I'm
hi.
here. Oh, sorry, was on mute.
Devin. Devin, are you here? Cassandra is here. Madison is here. Ramiro. Mr. Garcia. Thank you, Ramiro. Alexander.
I'm here.
Alex.
Yes.
Tin.
Here.
Is that correct pronunciation?
Yes, thank you.
By the way, I have inherited a gene from my father. This is the mispronunciation of names gene. I'm not as bad as he is, but I am pretty bad. Siamak. Siamak. Mr. Ravenbachish. Chidikar.
Here.
Okay, obviously I butchered that.
That's fine.
What do you want me to call you?
Just call me Belser.
Belser?
Bell, Bell. Just call me Bell.
Bell. Oh, it was Bell, sir. I'm sorry.
Yes, it's fine.
Gotcha, Bell. Victoria. Victoria.
I'm here.
Thank you, Victoria. Brittany is here. Grazielli.
I'm here.
Okay. Is that the no. Is that the correct pronunciation?
Yeah, that's correct.
I'm sorry. This is the third day. Where you from, Where you from, Grazielli?
I'm from Brazil.
Brazil. I visited there not too long ago.
Really?
Yeah.
have you-
What are those things? That dinner that you guys have. Where Fashweda? Do you know what I'm talking? Fashweda. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
This is the dinner where you get like these little things and you get 20 million other little things to go along with it. So that the first little thing would fill you up, but you have 20 million other things.
Like a feira?
I'll get back to you on it. My wife will be able to tell me, all right?
Okay.
Good for you. And last person, Brian, I saw you were here. Ladies and gentlemen, unless you have any questions, I will consider our first meeting a success. Don't just go like this. Leave. Go.
Bye.
Bye. Take care, guys. I'll see you next week at this time, all right?
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye-bye.